Hey everyone, so today we have notes. We're moving on to something kind of new. We're still finding area, but now we're going to be finding area of compound shapes. So go ahead and put notes up here. That's our lesson goal. If you need to pause this to write that, go ahead and pause it. If not, I'm just going to keep going. So then a compound shape, that's just any shape made up of two or more geometric shapes. And the geometric shapes that we've dealt with so far are squares, rectangles, parallelograms, and triangles. So a compound shape is a shape made up of these. Okay. So if you look at these pictures over here, we have like this one here. This one, if we draw a line going across this way, so we have here a square and a rectangle. Okay. Same thing if you look at this one here. If you draw, let's say we draw a line that goes straight down this way, right? Then you have a triangle here, and then you have a rectangle on the left-hand side. Okay. So this compound shape is made up of two geometric shapes, a rectangle and a triangle, and then this compound shape is made up of two geometric shapes. It's made up of a rectangle and a square. And then this one, this is also a compound shape, but it's actually like a square, and you're taking it out of another square. Okay, so imagine, let's say this is like a picture frame, and we wanted to find the area of the picture frame. So this one, in order to do this, you would have to find the area of the big square, and then subtract out the area of the smaller square. And then what you're left with is this. We'll get into that later. But that's what compound shapes are. Just look for other shapes that we've dealt with. Okay, and the other ones you should look for are squares, rectangles, and triangles. So again, pause it if you need to pause it. If not, I'm going to move on. So here we have steps for finding the area of a compound shape. So the first thing you want to do is you want to identify the geometric shapes in the compound, kind of like how we did here. So we had one shape to begin with, and then I broke it up and I said, hey, this is a rectangle, this is a triangle. Okay, so do that first. And then the second thing you want to do is find the area of each of the shapes. So let's say I wanted to find the area of that one, the rectangle, and then find the area of this one. Okay, and then the last thing we do is add the separate areas. The sum is the area of the compound shape. The sum is just what you get when you add them all up. Okay, so once you add them all up, that's the area of the compound shape. And then I have something. Remember the area formulas that we were dealing with for the last couple of weeks now. Now I threw all of these together because they are kind of together: the square, the rectangle, and the parallelogram. And then I kind of have little pictures of them down here. All of those, you can just think of them as base times height. Okay, I know we also use length times width, but that's really the same as just base times height. So base times height, and remember base is the horizontal distance, and height is the vertical distance. Okay, and then the other figure we dealt with is the triangle. Okay, and the triangle, it doesn't matter if it looks like this or if it's slanted or looks like the one we had up there. Okay, if it's triangle shape, the formula is base times height divided by 2. Okay, so really I would say this is easy to remember. It's either base times height that has 4 sides, like a square or square shape, or it's base times height divided by 2 if it has 3 sides, like a triangle. Okay, so let's move on. Let me get this down. My guy's not cooperating. Okay, so now let's find the area here. Now again, the area, the first thing you have to do is identify the geometric shapes. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, let's say you can break this up into 2 rectangles. You can either break it up going this way, up and down, or you can break it up going across. It really doesn't matter. It's up to you. I'm just gonna take it and go straight across. Okay. So I'm gonna break it up like this. Okay. So then I have this rectangle up here, and then the horizontal distance is 9, and the vertical distance is 3. Okay. So the area of the rectangle is 9 centimeters times 3 centimeters, which is 27 centimeters squared. Because remember, it's just base times height. And I'm going to put that in here. That way we know we already figured out this area. Okay. And then I need to figure out the area of this other rectangle. And this one's tricky. I know this is 4, but what I don't know is this length from here to here. 8, they tell me 8 is all of this. But remember, we just cut this and we just cut it right here. So it's not 8 anymore. So really you can't look at that 8 anymore. Well, what we can do though, is since this side was 3, right, this is 3 centimeters, that means I can figure out what this one is. Because I know that the entire length up and down is 8. If this is 3, and this one we're looking for, well, this one has to be 5 centimeters. Because the 3 and the 5 make up the 8. And now I can say, oh, okay, now I can find the area of this guy. The area is base, 4 centimeters, times height, and we just figured out that that's 5 centimeters. And I'm not going to write it over here because I don't want to go in that way, but that would be 20 centimeters squared. So this one is 20 centimeters squared. So we did step 1, identified the geometric shapes. Step 2 is we found the area of each of the shapes. Step 3 would be add them. Okay? So then the last thing I need to do is add 27 and 20. If I add 27 and 20, I get, let me use a different color. I get my answer, which is 47 centimeters squared. Because I just added, and all of this we can do on a calculator. I just added the 27 and the 20. Okay, 47. And why would you add them? Because the original shape was both of these put together. So if you think in math terms, adding them together or putting them together is adding. Okay, so that's the area. Now if there's units like this one, remember to put the units. This one doesn't have units. If it doesn't have units, I'm not going to make you put anything. The answer is just going to be a number. Okay. So let me move on to this one, number 2. So number 2, again, what you want to do is you want to identify some shapes that make up our compound shape. So I like to look for rectangles and like triangles. So I look at this and I'm like, okay, well here's a rectangle, right? And then the slanted line here, I know if I draw a line all the way to where the point is, then I can say, okay, I know this is a triangle, right? And then I also have this rectangle down here. Now finding the 2 rectangle areas is easy because all we have to do is add, or count actually. So if I counted these, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the area for this one is 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So the area for this rectangle is 14. Now the triangle is a little bit different because it involves half squares or pieces of squares. So for the triangle, I'm going to go back and use the formula where it's base times height divided by 2. So watch. So for the triangle, I'm going to say the base. Remember, the base is going across this way. And the base is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It goes 7 across. and then it goes 2 high, and then divide by 2. So that's the formula for the triangle. 7 times 2 divided by 2. And again, if you're not sure, use the calculator. 7 times 2 is 14. 14 divided by 2 is 7. So I know the triangle area is 7. So then I would just add up those three areas. 14 plus 7 plus 8. Because the three areas made up the compound shape. And then that's 29. So again, if it doesn't have units, like if they don't tell us what the units is, just put the number. And then we'll have something like that on today's assignment.